Wonderful, wonderful to be here. So it's the time for another iteration of Team Science. And believe it or not, we're about a week away from the beginning of this fall semester. And so it's a good time to think about reflecting on our effectiveness as leaders and how we can improve. And so that's why I chose this topic for this week. So I like this quote that leadership demands periods of restraint and consideration. Leaders must regularly turn off the noise and ask themselves what they stand for and what kind of an example they want to set. So I'm challenged by that, and I want to talk about that, not just as a quote, but as research that supports the importance and the effectiveness of leader self-reflection. So there's a recent study that just came out last year about leader reflection and self-reflection, and came up with 16 items to consider and validated those items in scale form. And they talk about 4 different types of leader reflection in teams. The first one is goal-focused reflection. So taking some time as a leader and even as a member, to be honest, thinking about reviewing objectives of the project, reflecting on whether or not the goals are being met, evaluating the progress towards goals, and considering whether you're on track, with the project deliverables. So again, taking some time, doesn't have to be a lot of time, but to revisit these kinds of issues with goal setting and goal delivery. The second type of reflection is methods-based, and it's reviewing your approach. This is more the how, where the goal is more the what. So reviewing your approach to getting the job done, reconsidering how you're making decisions on the project. Do you need to take a different approach to get better progress being made? Evaluating whether you're working the best way to accomplish the deliverables. So thinking through that. The third type of reflection is relationships focused. So it has to do with the people that you're working with. So evaluating whether you're connecting well or poorly with those who are going to receive your work or your leadership. Considering whether your actions are helping to build high quality connections with those who are going to receive your work. How is your communication, and is it effective, or are there areas for improvement? And then again, thinking through the quality of those connections of who you're dealing with on your project. And then the last one, which I quite frankly find the most challenging, is the self-focused reflection. How does your individual working style affect the progress on the team? What personal impact do you have on the project? How are your day-to-day moods helping or hurting the project? And then what kind of energy are you bringing to the project? So these are challenging questions, but it's really important to consider these because actually there's hard research to support the effectiveness of taking the time to do this individual work reflection. So a recent study across a couple of different studies found that when individuals took the time to do this, they were better able to understand team needs, the needs for task-based work, the needs for relational-based work, and how they could change for the better the work of the team. And then understanding those team needs then had an impact on the tasks that were done in terms of the leadership being able to delegate, being able to be very clear about those goals for the team. Also working together, helping making sure members know what their roles are and who's going to do what. Doing things to make it pleasant to be a member of the team, the relational aspects, as well as the change-oriented, the mission, the vision, and then are we going in the right direction, and what pivots do we need to make if we're not? And then ultimately leader effectiveness that was rated as more positive when leaders and members as well took the time to do this. So it showed that this individual work reflection had these positive effects over and above other types of more awareness building activities like mindfulness or rumination. It really was this individual work reflection. So I know everybody's busy, and I started off with this quote that leaders must regularly turn off the noise and ask themselves what they stand for and what kind of example they want to set. But the reality is this quote from Henry Mintzberg: individuals work at an unrelenting pace. They are strongly oriented to action and dislike reflective activities. And I find it a challenge, just probably like you do as well, to just keep going and keep acting. But again, the research is pretty clear, not just the one study I highlighted today, but other work as well to show its effectiveness. One thing I'd like to mention as well that I find challenging is to also, as part of this leader self-reflection, think about what are you doing to take care of yourself. Being a leader of teams is demanding, and I find that I'm the least able to really see people, hear people, create that sense of belonging and mattering that Rafi just talked about when I'm drained, when I'm fatigued, when I'm going a million miles a minute. And so thinking about, when do you feel energized as a leader? What are the conditions that lead to that? And what do you need to thrive as a leader, and personally, and then in terms of the context, and then how can we as leaders put ourselves in a position where we achieve that and we are more engaged and enthused because we're taking care of ourselves and putting our own mask on before we try to help others, oxygen mask, so to speak. So the challenge for myself, as well as all of you, is what is one idea that we can take, even if you just spent a few minutes to think about your leadership effectiveness and how to improve it. I think it would yield great dividends. So thank you for your kind attention once again.